Hello everybody, it's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we're going to share what Michael has to say regarding Sierra. He doesn't call her out by name, but he's basically saying she's lying and he's got the proof. We're going to get into that story in a second. Don't forget, tonight's episode of Bachelorette is actually going to be back to its original 8 p.m. East Coast time slot, which means we'll be live streaming 1 hour before that at 7 p.m. East Coast, 4 p.m. Pacific, and directly after tonight's episode. So for all those people complaining the show's on too late, it's back to its normal time slot. We'll have a full preview for that on today's Bachelor Rush Hour podcast, so make sure to subscribe for that. Also, to get your Driving with Dave episode, we had Courtney Robertson on this week. It's fantastic. You can go listen to that now there, or check it out at the end of this video. I'll post a link to it. And also, don't forget, you can find us on Patreon, live stream this morning at 10:30 a.m., patreon.com/Dave Neal. So I'm going to get to what Michael said, but first let's listen to Sierra and what she had to say on She's All Batch podcast, good friends of the program, Stephanie and Jackie's podcast. Go check it out. Don't forget to go listen to the original source here. They get great, fantastic interviews of alumni. They're not tied down by any of the alumni contracts like other corporate podcasts are, so they get to ask the questions the fans want to know. Now, we know Sierra and Michael were on Bachelor in Paradise together. He was dating Sierra, and then eventually they broke up, and he dated Danielle, who he's now, I believe, living with. So Sierra's gone on multiple podcasts months ago in the fall saying, I just wanted to get this off my chest, and she's continuing to share the story that he is going to say is a lie, but have a listen to what she has to say.
With that, live your best life, and make sure you get paid really well, and you're going to go do it again. But for me, I was just it was very much premeditated on his end, and I figured that out and I put all the pieces together at the end, and he will deny it until he's blue in the face, but let him, so I women are pretty good at putting two and two together. So,
and you have receipts, I'm assuming, obviously, of him.
Oh yeah. So, yeah.
Well, why wouldn't they just, because obviously I know producers want drama, but Michael specifically, they wanted him to be the golden boy. They always love that protected couple. Why wouldn't they just have Danielle go down for night one, and then then he doesn't have to play all these people? Is there a reason for that?
They want the spin up. So you know how the show goes to some go to the casa and then some stay on the beach, and then those new people come down, and it's are those couples still couples? They come back and there's drama.
Yeah.
So I get it. As a producer, you want the production of it, right? You want the drama. And so why would you have this couple go from the beginning to the end? That's such a predictable thing. That's almost so predictable, it's boring. So how do you make his story that would have otherwise been very boring to watch interesting to watch, right?
So we have a sort of conspiracy theory happening here where Sierra says Michael was supposed to date Danielle all along, but the producers wanted to set her up with Michael first so that he would have a better story and there would be conflict and all these types of things, which could be true. The producers could be playing 3D chess like that. My guess is the producers just throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. That's my guess. But, there was a lot of talk about Danielle and Michael before the show even started because they are both, Michael's a widower and Danielle, I believe her fiance died of an overdose. So they both have a story of grief, and not to say that means they should be paired together, but in the dumb eyes of the producers, they might think, well, that's a good mix. So anyway, and by the way, we've got a similar story next week. Next week, I've got Andrew Spencer on Driving with Dave, and we discussed his relationship with Teddy on Bachelor in Paradise and how he thought Teddy was going to be the one. It's a very fascinating conversation, but don't forget, if you haven't already, check out my interview with Courtney Robertson, where she talks about her, winning the Bachelor. She won. She was engaged to Ben, and then he kissed another woman, and that whole story. She got followed by paparazzi. Then after dating Ben, after they broke up, she started dating Ari. She talks about all of that in here. Very fascinating stuff, so go check that out. But again, Andrew Spencer will have a similar story where audiences were rooting for him and Teddy before he even got to the beach, much like audiences were rooting for Danielle and Michael. So here's what Michael had to say. He doesn't use Sierra's name, but we know exactly who he's talking about, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist. I don't know why a rocket scientist would be following Bachelor Nation, but hey, do we have any rocket scientists out there? I know we have some nuclear scientists. We got a lot of hardworking industrial people out there. By the way, Here's what he has to say. Honest question. What's the best way to handle someone that's blatantly spreading lies about you? I'm conflicted. Part of me wants to do nothing because I have more important things to do, and I don't want to give this person the attention they so desperately want. The other part of me wants to expose this person for the liar they are. Debunk these absurd conspiracies with proof and completely call this person out. Have you ever been in this situation? I've stayed silent up until now about a lot of things because I know they are false and I can prove it, but I need to decide whether to stand my ground or let it die. Ugh, what to do? Now, we know Michael's talking about Sierra. Let's run through some hypotheticals here. If Sierra's in the right, if she knows for a fact that Michael manipulated her and he was never going to date her all along, and if she had some sort of evidence, she would have shared it by now because she's basically shared everything that, from the depths of her soul on these podcasts, right? And rightfully, she has the right to do that, right? Now, if the issue is whether or not Michael was DMing Sierra before the show, as we've covered this already, I don't think that's much of a story. I don't think it's wild to think that people that are going to go on a dating show are going to reach out to as many other potential matches and see if they're going to go on the dating show. I don't think it's crazy for Michael to want to know, is Sierra going to be on? Is Jasenia going to be on? Is Danny going to be on? And to know these different people are going to be on, so that way when you get to the beach, you can pursue as many options as possible. Now, some people get very upset about this because they look at it as though Michael kept Sierra sort of strung along until a better option showed up, much like Brendan Moraes was accused of doing that with Natasha before Piper showed up. Now, of course, Brendan Moraes and Natasha were kind of like together, but he's like, I'm afraid I don't want to go any farther. And then Piper showed up and he was like, excuse me, and he went after Piper. Now, every situation's different, but can we blame people put in this position on this game show? I say that in quotes. Can we blame people for choosing their best option, taking their rose and saying, who on this beach is my best option? You are. And then pursuing that relationship until a better option comes along. In real life, that kind of happens, but not in the pressure cooker, snow globe, sort of Truman Show situation as Bachelor in Paradise. So how will Michael be able to debunk these conspiracies and prove that Sierra's lying? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that would be the case, but was he dating Danielle before the show started? I think no one's really accusing him of that. Maybe Sierra is. I'm not really sure. Let's listen to a little bit more of what she had to say.
Can be with somebody else. The Casa thing happens. They go off. They're like, oh my God, no, I'm going to wait because like me and Michael are so solid. Oh my God. And then you go back to the beach and they drop you back and you're heartbroken and distraught because it's with like he or she or whoever is with another person. Mm-hmm. And so that's just like what they were like trying to do. And because they were begging me to stay. They were like, stay, like you need to stay. And I was like, no, I'm going home. Fuck this. But they were like, just stay, like stick it out, Sierra. And like they were like, there's new guys coming, you never know. So I mean, I could have stayed because we were already broken up or whatever. And what I think happened was, I think that like truly, I think it was like premeditated. I think Michael genuinely did like grow concern, feelings, and emotions for me. And then was like, fuck, this girl that I thought was going to be a certain way ended up being like somebody that I would actually like. Mm-hmm. And now I feel like I'm cheating on Danielle because this wasn't supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that was eating him up. I think there was guilt there and like a lot of guilt associated.
Okay, so Sierra is absolutely allowed to share what she thinks happened. So I don't know if that counts as a conspiracy, but maybe there's other conspiracies we don't know about. But she's absolutely allowed to say, hey, I think he wasn't supposed to fall for me and he did. I think he actually liked me and he felt guilty. That's okay for her to share that. I just think in the greater scheme of things, it's not real. Like what happens on the beach is kind of hard to untangle at this point, unless there's hard evidence about one person feeling one way or another. It's kind of like this. It's like if I dated someone and then they left someone else, they dumped me for someone else. I can tell you all the scenarios about why they did what they did, but in the end, they just weren't interested in me. And I got to kind of take that loss on the chin and go, I got rejected and I got to move on, let people feel pity for me, but there isn't much else you can do.
And I think that the whole Casa thing, I think he knew what was going to happen. I think he knew that like Danielle was about to come. There was about to be a switch. I think he had a lot of insight. I don't think he was dumb. I think part of his contract was probably knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
In order for him to do it. And so I think him knowing that was coming was fucking with him, honestly, because he started acting weird a little bit. And whenever he like had like cut it off between us, it was just like almost like he knew she was gonna come, and he didn't want to be that bad guy. He didn't want to be like, I'm gonna screw over and fuck over this really good girl with this whole switch and like with this thing that's about to happen, and I don't want to be that person. Like, so like I'm gonna like, if like I'm gonna dump her, I'm gonna dump her now, not whenever the producers want me to. Like, I'm gonna do it this way so she has the chance to like give her rose to somebody else or do whatever so that she can like go into the next phase and not wait for me.
So Sierra's essentially calling out Michael for dumping her in an ethical way.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it was, is like, I'm a loyal person. I'm pretty like, you know, and I think that he like knew that. So he was like, if just she goes to this house and does this next phase, she's just going to stick it out and wait for me to come back and then come back to the beach. And I'm going to be with Danielle. I already know because I'm already with her technically, you know? And so I think that it was like that kind of situation. And so it's like, okay, so how can I be the good guy in this really shitty situation? Break up with her now and like let her go to the Casa next stage completely free.
Okay, so it sounds to me like Sierra's accusing Michael of having already been dating Danielle, and it sounds to me like Michael's saying that's not true. So the question is, do we think Michael should openly discuss all this and share his side of the story? My personal thought is, and I know that this isn't necessarily political, but regardless of what you think about Donald Trump, he's really good at not backing down from his adversaries. And because of that, he's been able to develop a stronger core audience than a lot of politicians. One of the strongest politicians ever. Now, it's not the biggest audience, but it's got a very core audience of people that will literally fight for him till the death, right? You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that, I'm not relating Michael to Donald. What I'm saying is there is this PR thing that they used to say, which was, don't address things, you'll make it bigger. Just let bygones be bygones. But Trump has really proved that if you stick up for yourself and if you believe in yourself, and again, this is no judgment as to whether he's right or wrong here, okay? This is just a case study. But Trump's really proven that if you stick up for yourself and never back down, that you will maintain like a core group of people that are ride or die. Does Michael need that is the question. Does he need that? Probably not. But if he wants that, I don't think he's going to lose any fans. I don't think he's going to lose anybody. I think the people that like him will continue to like him, and maybe there'll be some people on the fence that go, okay, well, look, if he shares some screen grab or some information that shows that Sarah's a liar, there'll be collateral damage in that people will accuse him of being a certain way because he's calling out Sierra. But also, I think it's rightful at this point that he's allowed to share his opinion. She's gone on multiple podcasts and disparaged him, and she's allowed to share her opinion, but now Michael absolutely can share his. So will he take the high road? Will he not? We're going to be tuning in all week and seeing if that's going to happen. Who knows? But a story that we thought was dead a long time ago has made a complete resurgence. And someone left a comment on my channel going, Dave, why the hell are you talking about this now? And it's like, hello, because people are talking about it on podcasts. And this is very interesting in the game of chess known as Bachelor in Paradise. Let me know what you guys think. We'll be back with more content right after this.